That I'm speaking with Al Jazeera and reaching people who were colleagues and friends of the murdered journalists. I just want to extend condolences. It's one of those things that I think rocks the world to any time journalists are killed pursuing, sharing truth beyond the borders of a conflict zone. It's a very difficult job, and people who do it all around the world put themselves at risk of death and harm for the interests of sharing information, which is the bedrock of democracies and free societies around the world. In this case, and of course, there's always going to be more investigations and so on, but certainly at this point, as a Canadian parliamentarian, it seems pretty clear that the Israeli military deliberately targeted Al Jazeera journalists, that they were murdered for doing work to share with the world the horrors of what's happening in Gaza. So there really aren't words for how deeply traumatizing this is, I think, for people around the world who care about journalism and democracy. Call out Israel, call out Netanyahu when he says journalists were working with Hamas. If Netanyahu wants to have any credibility at all in claiming that journalists can be murdered with impunity because there's a truth out there that they're not covering, then call out Netanyahu for blocking international journalists from access to Gaza. If there's nothing to hide, let journalists from Canada, let journalists from the UK and the United States, let them in. If you're not committing war crimes and you're not hiding something by killing Al Jazeera journalists, let international journalists cover what's going on so that the world community can speak out based on information to see the truth with their own eyes. Even in the worst conflicts that I can remember in my lifetime, even when the U.S. Army was slaughtering people in Vietnam, there was never a U.S. government that said no journalists were allowed to cover what was happening. So there's a horror here that speaks to a contempt for the world community when Netanyahu tries to tell us as international citizens who want peace that the journalists they've murdered were somehow just sharing propaganda instead of truth. Let other journalists in and stop targeting journalists, stop targeting hospitals, stop targeting health professionals. The ongoing horror is gone too far, and it's gone on for too long. It's absolutely it's what our government committed to do more than a year ago. So yes, we under the circumstances of an arms embargo, not one more piece of military hardware of any kind should be shipped from Canada to Israel, even if they use a loophole to go through another country first. A complete arms embargo is a minimum under the circumstances.